We have a problem, do training. My next story is about a day when 3 vice presidents thought that training would be the magic wand that would solve all the company problems. So that day, these 3 recently appointed vice presidents came suddenly to my office where I used to work for a large company. Unexpectedly, they showed up and they wanted to visit me. Not 1, not 2, but 3. When these 3 guys walked into my office all at the same time, one of 2 things is happening. Either the company is launching a major transformation, or someone has discovered a very expensive problem. A few minutes later, they were sitting across from me. They looked serious, they looked concerned, they looked like they had opened the hood of a car or found the smoke coming out of the engine and decided the solution was to wash the windshield. Then one of them leaned forward and said, "Mark, we have a problem." And before I even heard the details, I could almost predict the next sentence. Because in large organizations, when panic enters the building, one sentence usually follows. We have a problems, do training. This is Dr. Mark Shami. I would like to welcome you to Leadership Trails. I'm the Managing Director and the Professor at the University of California. Over the last 25 years, I had trained thousands of engineers and managers and executives around the world. And one lesson I learned very clearly is this: training can be powerful, but training isn't the magic wand, and definitely cannot repair what leaders or leadership refuses to fix. So let me tell you something. When these 3 VPs were explaining the problem, one said, people are not following procedures. The other was complaining, saying departments are not coordinating. The third said, managers are not communicating. Then came more symptoms: slow decisions, weak accountability, confusion between functions, and then came the famous diagnosis. So we need a training. I looked at them, 3 VPs, 3 major functions, 10 organizational problems, 1 solution: training. It was like telling a doctor, my car is making noise, my roof is leaking, my laptop is frozen, and my teenager is not listening to me. Can you prescribe antibiotics? Okay. Now, to be fair, these were not bad leaders. They were smart, they were experienced, they were under pressure, but they had fallen into a dangerous corporate fantasy. If something is broken, send people to training. Communication problem, workshop. Leadership problem, workshop. Culture problem, bigger workshops. And if the problem is really serious, we add certificates and take a group photo, because nothing says transformation like 40 exhausted managers holding certificates while pretending they were not checking emails under the table. Okay, so let me tell you about the uncomfortable questions. So I asked them, before we design anything, can I ask what problem you are really trying to solve here? They repeated the same list: procedures, coordination, communication, accountability. So I asked, are the procedures clear? They were silent. Some are outdated, they said. I asked, do managers have the authority to make decisions? Another silence. Not always, they said. I asked, are departments rewarded for helping each other? They looked at each other. Each department has its own target, they said. So I asked, then if one department helps another department, does that help them or hurt them? Now the silence became very expensive. The meeting had officially moved from training to therapy. And I asked, are senior leaders aligned on priorities? One of them smiled. Not the happy smile, the corporate smile, as you all know. The smile that says, please do not open the drawer. There are bodies inside. Then he said, alignment is improving. Whenever someone says alignment is improving, it usually means alignment is missing. But we are still using polite language. At that moment, the room changed. They came looking for a training course, but now we were talking about the system. And systems are uncomfortable because when problem is training, we send employees to a class. But when the problem is the system, leaders have to look into the mirror. And mirrors are not always popular in executive meetings. So let me tell you about this book. Gentlemen, I'm going to tell you about a book that I read which may be the answer to your question. Training ain't performance. I told them, gentlemen, I can design training, I can build workshops, simulations, case studies, and follow-up sessions, but let me be honest. Training can improve people, as you all know, but training cannot compensate for broken systems. Training cannot fix unclear strategy. Training cannot fix outdated procedures. Okay? Training cannot fix leaders who say one thing and reward another. Training cannot fix a culture where people are afraid to tell the truth. You cannot train people to collaborate in a system that rewards silos. We all know that. You cannot train people to make decisions when every decision has to climb a mountain of approvals. You cannot train people to be accountable when mistakes are punished, but learning is not allowed. This is not a training problem, what you're asking me. This is a leadership problem. And I'm sorry to say that sometimes companies treat training like a car wash. You send managers in on Monday morning, they come out shiny, refreshed, and smelling like leadership. For 2 days, everyone is inspired after the training. They use beautiful words, they use alignment, ownership, empowerment, psychological safety, what have you. Then they return to the same boss, same procedures, same approvals, and same meetings where everyone says, great point, but nobody makes a decision. By Friday, someone says, maybe the training was not long enough. No, my friend, the training was not the problem. The environment swallowed it. It's like teaching someone to swim and then throwing them back into the desert. At some point, you have to ask, is the problem the swimmer or the fact that there is no water? This is why the book Training Ain't Performance by Harold Stolovich and Erika Keeps is so powerful. I read it carefully and I understand the outcomes of this book. The title alone is a leadership lesson. Training may support performance, training may strengthen performance, but training is not performance. Performance happens in the real workplace, under real pressure, with real bosses, real system, real incentives, and real consequences. There is also a Harvard Business Review article I read called Why Leadership Training Fails and What to Do About It. The message is simple. Leadership training often fails not because the classroom is bad, not because people return to an organization that has not changed. Same culture, same barriers, same leadership behavior, and same operating system. So the training becomes a nice event. People enjoy it, they rate it highly, they write excellent, great instructor, very engaging, great examples and case studies, and my personal favorite, lunch was good, but the real question is not, did people enjoy the training? The real question is, did anything change when they returned to work after that whole training and all the expenses paid? So, let me tell you about the leadership lesson. So what happened with the 3 VPs, back to the story, we did not cancel training. Training was still useful, but it was no longer the whole solution. We changed the question. Instead of asking, what course should we deliver, we asked during that meeting, what performance do we need? Also, what is preventing that performance? Is it skill gap? That could be something. A process gap, a leadership gap, unclear authority, bad incentives, fear, or could be confusion, or politics dressed up as procedure. That last one made them laugh, but they knew it was true. Once we separated skill problems from systems problems, the conversation became much more honest. Training could help managers communicate better, but leadership had to clarify priorities. Training could help people understand procedures, but leadership had to update procedures. Training could help teams collaborate, but leadership had to stop rewarding silos. Okay? This is when training became useful. I said that very clearly because training works best when leadership has done its homework. Without that, training is like planting flowers in concrete. Beautiful seeds, no growth. So here is the lesson. The next time someone says, we have a problem, do training, okay? Do not reject training. I say that very clearly, do not reject the training, but do not worship it either. Ask better questions. Is this really a training problem? Or is it a leadership problem? Are people unable to perform? Or are they trapped in a system that makes performance difficult? Training can sharpen the sword, but leadership must clear the battlefield. Training can light the fire, but leadership must stop pouring water on it. I've seen that all unfolding in many, many situations. Training can develop people, but leadership must fix conditions in which people work. So, training is not a magic wand. It's not corporate medicine for every disease. It's definitely not a substitute for leadership courage. Training is a multiplier. If the system is healthy, training multiplies performance. If the system is broken, training multiplies frustration on the other side. Before we ask people to change, ask whether the system allows them to change. This is how leadership begins, and this is Dr. Mark Shami, and this is Leadership Trail. See you later.